Hey guys, I'm Valtteri Piisku and welcome to Villa Lintukoto YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to install a hybrid flooring on a concrete surface. If you enjoy home improvement content and want to stay updated on future videos, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. So basically this is the area what we are laying today, and this is how it looked before and this is how it looks now. This was just a one-day project and it took me roughly 8 hours to complete it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and learned something today. So this is the area we'll be working on today. This living room and a small hallway. Personally, I suggest starting along the longest wall and laying the floorboards in the direction of the incoming light. The product we are installing today is called Easy Plank, which is definitely one of the easiest hybrid planks to install. As you can see, it's 100% waterproof and easy to install and maintain. When it comes to installing floorboards, my first step is always checking the subfloor. This is possibly the most crucial aspect of the entire process because nobody wants a bouncy floor. So please do yourself a favor and invest time in floor preparation for the best results. It doesn't really have to be perfectly leveled, but it has to be flat. The standard for floor prep is that the subfloor shouldn't dip more than 3 mm beneath the 1.5 mm straight edge. And here you can see how I check the room both vertically and horizontally. If someone tells you that the subfloor can dip in a different direction than your floorboards, let me tell you, it's not okay. As you can see, there was a high spot in front of the bar desk that I'm marking at the moment, and I'll show you how I got rid of it with the concrete grinder. Usually I mark high and low spots with the marker or chalk, but this time I just did it with the pencil. And now it's time to bring a big boy in. To get the job done, I'm using a vacuum and a concrete grinder. By the way, I had some issues with my grinder during this job. The guard got stuck a couple of times and one of the screws popped off, and I've been facing heaps of tool problems lately. So if anyone from the Milwaukee team is watching this video, please help a brother out. When grinding concrete, always connect your vacuum to your grinder, and it's highly recommended to wear a dust mask. Just go back and forth slowly a few times, checking with your straight edge until it's flat. Afterward, I reckon to give the area proper cleaning before starting to lay the floorboards. Next step, I'm gonna put the black plastic down. The black plastic what I'm laying down isn't an underlay. It's mainly for moisture protection in case there is any moisture in the subfloor. Also, this is a floating floor, so I don't want the rubber backing to get stuck to the concrete. It's not mandatory, but I strongly recommend it. Before I start laying the floorboards, I like to pre-cut all the trims. The trims what I'm using in this job are called C-channel or C-trim. To complete this process you will need a glue, caulking gun and some rags. I'm using Sikaflex FC for glue, but you can also use multipurpose adhesive or liquid nails. And now it's a party time. Here you can actually see the bottom of the floorboard, which is the underlay, so you don't need a separate underlay. What I always do when I lay big room like this, I like to open few boxes and stack them on the floor, so now I don't have to stop the installation process all the time. And now let's send our first board down. I generally want to leave about 10mm gaps around the entire perimeter for expansion, so I aim for roughly 8 to 12mm gaps. In this job I use 10mm packers for expansion. As you can see, when laying the first row, you don't really need any special tools to connect the boards. Just lift the board up to a 45-degree angle and drop it into the previous one. For the next row, we start with shorter boards to mix up the joints. To get a better looking floor, it's pretty important to maintain a minimum of 300mm of space between joints and avoid creating a staircase pattern. So mix up your boards as much as possible and then just use a tapping block or rubber mallet to join them together. It's actually pretty easy. In some hybrid boards and laminate boards, you might need to drop the side tongue in first and then the end of the board. However, in this case we drop the end of the board first and then connect it to the previous row. When cutting the last board, I flip the board the wrong way around, leaving roughly an 8mm gap for expansion. For cutting hybrid boards you can use a guillotine, a drop saw or even a knife, but it can be challenging with a knife, so I recommend using proper tools. Then you just repeat the same process again. As I mentioned before, try to mix your floorboards as much as possible and avoid the staircase pattern, especially in a large living room, it just doesn't look good. And now we are in the hallway. So I had to install the boards in reverse. The good thing is that these boards are incredibly forgiving when it comes to backwards installation. So if you ever find yourself needing to install them in reverse for any reason, it shouldn't be a problem. Here I'm laying one of the last boards, which turned out to be one of the trickiest to fit in because I had to lay the floorboard and the trim at the same time. First I measured the length of the board and cut it with my drop saw. Next, we aim to leave a neat 5mm gap around the architraves. Typically I would lay floorboards under them, but in this case my customer had metal architraves, so that wasn't an option. Here I'm using an offcut board to scribe the one I'm cutting. It might look a bit confusing, but once you do it a couple of times, it becomes a pretty straightforward and handy way to mark your floorboards. For cutting corners, I usually use a table saw and a jigsaw. Now with this rib, it's going under the C-trim, so we'll need to apply some glue first. Then place the trim on the floorboard and install them simultaneously. I recommend using some kind of hook tool to connect the boards together and finally pushing the trim against the doorway. And that's the process in a nutshell. And I really hope you learned something today. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and please give us a like and hit the subscribe button. For additional details, visit our website at villalintukoto.com/hybridflooring. You will find a link in the description. Stay tuned.